What's up, guys? We're here at the shop. Today I'm going to start episode 1 of a multiple part series where I ask drivers, why do you drift? I thought of this idea because, you know, I meet a lot of different people throughout the industry and throughout drifting, and there's a lot of opinions, and I just wanted to ask my own questions and get answers from drivers that drift for fun, just go to a couple drift events a year, from drivers that compete in Pro-Am drifting, from drivers that compete in Pro 2 drifting, from drivers that compete in Pro 1 drifting, from international drivers that compete in Pro 1 drifting, and I want to know what makes them go to the track, what makes them pursue this. Really, Joe? Really? So we're gonna call this series What Makes You Drift. So I'm gonna ask each driver a list of 4 questions. So today we are gonna start with Jeff Lee. You guys know Jeff? Hi. We're gonna be interviewing Jeff and asking him what makes you drift. So let's go over to Jeff's car and we'll start the interview there. This is gonna be our office for today.
Don't you wish this was your office every day?
This would be a cool office. Okay, so Jeff, what makes you drift?
What makes me drift? Drifting is just a super fun sport, and I do it because it's nothing but a good time every time you're behind the wheel, you know? You're free behind the wheel, you could do whatever you want. I mean on the track, but I mean, you have your own style with drifting, and you could drive how you want and just be yourself. That's why I do it.
I like that answer. The next question is, what is the hardest part about competition for you? And so you compete in Top Drift Pro-Am Series here in Southern California. Tell us a little bit about, you know, the hardest part about that for you and a little bit of the history in drifting for you.
So a little history first. I started drifting in like a 240 like everyone else. Well, not everyone else, because you started in FC, but but I started in like a basic 240, just hooning around, you know, with my buddies, and I met Dan and like basically saw him do Top Drift, like the whole series, and like saw how he did it, and just knew like right then and there, like, hey, I want to do that because I know I could do it. Like, I've seen someone do it physically, and like I've seen him with my own eyes attain his license. So it just made me push to where I am right now, like trying to get my Pro 2 license. But the hardest part about it, I would say, is just getting your stuff together. You gotta make sure you have a good, reliable car that you can stay competitive with. You don't show up with a broken car, or else you're just gonna like chase issues throughout the whole weekend. And then I think another main like huge ordeal is like being able to buy like enough tires and gas and extra parts, and like just basically being prepared for each round is like one of the hardest things to do. If you're doing it, like, you just might as well buy the right stuff and just be 100% prepared before you show up, because if you're not prepared, you're not gonna have a good weekend, I think.
Yeah, biggest part is being prepared and having your car set up to work.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes a whole year to get your car to even set up working, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you had some, you know, professional help with a shop that set it up for you, or, you know, you had someone in your life that could, you know, influence the setup of the car and tell you why or why not.
Yeah, exactly. Like a guide.
Which sometimes it just takes time to get there, and if you're using a different chassis than other people are familiar with, then it's gonna uphill battle right there.
Yeah.
And then money plays a big part, because you only have as much money as you have, and you got to make it work for you in the way that you can. The next question would be, what did it take to get to where you are? You kind of, you know, talked about that a little bit, or what is it gonna take to get to where you're going? Like, because there's many sacrifices in this sport to get there. So tell us a little bit about that.
It definitely takes a lot of late nights, either in your garage or at your work. Well, my work is just like my shop too, you know. It's just, I'm here every single day, like throughout the night, working on my car if I have to, you know. Because without that kind of commitment or sacrifice, once you get to pro, it's gonna be like 5 times as hard or more, you know. It's just, you're gonna stay late just to work on stuff, because then I work at a shop, so I have to work on customers' cars, like regular business hours, like 9 to 6, and after that I get like my time with my car. So basically for me it's different because I have a full-time job, but if you guys don't, then you could spend like your days like working on your car, but my time is like at night at the shop, where I get to like mess with my car and make it better for competition or just better in general. But look forward to a lot of late nights in the garage working on your car.
Yeah, that is true, and weekends.
Yeah, because we're still doing that with his car.
So last question I want to ask you is, pro drifting something in your future, something you're pursuing? Is that a goal of yours, or is that not for you?
Pro drifting is definitely a goal for me. Like, I think that's the reason why I'm competing in the first place, is because I want to get to pro. There's other guys on the series that just do it for fun because they like the adrenaline rush of tandeming and competing with other drivers. But me personally, I like that too, but I really like my main goal for competing is just to get my Pro 2 license, you know, because I want to make it to Pro 2 and then I want to make it to Pro. Like, that's that. Like, I'll do it until I can't, you know. So that's my main goal.
That's a good goal to have.
Yeah. I know it's possible because I've seen this guy do it.
It is possible. Anyone could do it if they put their mind to it. So the people kind of don't know much about Jeff Lee besides what we just talked about, so let's tell them a little bit more about you. So how many drift cars have you had? Let's start with that, because it's a lot. Some people might not have had as many drift cars. I know all about you, but let's tell them about you, you know? How many drift cars have you had?
Okay, I've had like 7 240s, but only 2 of them were like actually like I drifted with them, because the other ones were just like street cars. Well, there are street cars, but they were just like cars I just drove around on daily. I never slid it. But there was like 2 cars that I always like drifted around, which was like a S13 240 with the SR20 and the S14 with just the KA dual cam.
Wait, so
that's a lot.
Okay,
of
I met you when you had the S14 with like the 2-tone color. That's how I met you. Oh, okay, so going back, I've known Jeff for 3 years. I met him through Instagram when he was liking a bunch of pictures when I was doing Pro-Am in my FCRX7, and then I was like, oh dude, that guy with that 2-tone S14 likes all my pictures. And then one day I'm on the 405 driving home from the shop and I see that car and I'm like, no way, he's that local that no way. And I try and like follow him in my truck, but he's just driving really too fast, so that he's gone. Then I see him again and I'm like, whoa, he works at America's Tire, which was right next to my shop. And so then me and Jeff meet and I'm like, hey, come work for me. No, I like my job. And I'm like, well, come by the shop, check it out. Okay. So he'd come by here and there, and then one day I asked him, hey, can you go help me? My crew can't go with me. Can you go help me in Washington Pro 2 round? So then he agrees to go help me, and after that he was like hooked on drifting even more than he already was. And then I asked him again, could you work? And he's like, okay, part-time. And so then he started working at the shop part-time. Here we are 2 years later after that, and maybe 2 years and change, or just under 2 years, something like that. And we're in a really cool race car that he built for himself. He'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second, of how we got it, and then that Jeff himself built literally every last thing on it, and then got some hand-me-down Supra parts for me.
Yeah.
Obviously a Supra is not going to be like your 3rd drift car that you take to the track unless you're really lucky, but there's a lot of Supras where we are. And I really like Supras, so I was able to acquire this one at a really crazy price that you'll never get in your life. It was like luck pretty much. It was meant to be, and now that's what Jeff drifts in. But
so I got that S13 off our good buddy Austin. It was just like basically a shell at that point, and I was just like working on it in my driveway before I met Dan, before anything happened, you know? So I was just building it on my spare time after work in my driveway, and like did the whole SR swap, basically did the whole wire harness. Like I simplified the stock harness for it, got it running and everything, and then I met Dan, and this is when it was just like still a bare shell just with a running motor. And I started working at the shop at Rad and started fabricating and started learning how to weld and started learning how to do roll cages. And basically the roll cage in that 240 I built, it was a S13 hatchback. That was like one of my first cages I built, and for my first cage I thought it was pretty cool.
It was.
Turned out pretty good.
It was good.
From that point on, like just being able to build my own cage and fabricating like every little piece, like it didn't have a lot of fab on that car, but whatever I did do to it, I was really proud of it, because like it just worked, you know. Like it was my first competitive drift car, but my second built drift car. Not built, but like built to drift car. Did pro-am with that. It was a pretty big struggle because that car was just like a budget build, because I didn't have any money to like afford any of it, I guess. So I just worked with what I had. Just had a horrible angle kit in the front. It was just like mismatched parts. But I mean, towards the end of the year, like I got some PBM arms from Dan and some knuckles made from our buddy Ryan Clemens. But yeah, I mean, after that angle kit was on, we showed up to round 4, and like I just drove like I had nothing to lose, you know, because it was just a 240. I didn't really care if I hit it or wrecked it. I just wanted to drive hard, and that was the first round that I actually qualified in, and I put a pretty good fight against Kelvin, which was like a Mark II Supra, but it was a pretty good day. Yeah. I was really happy. And then come September, like after All-Star Bash, like the motor blew. Then we were just like, I was just kind of like stuck. I was like, I don't know what to do, you know, like should I just rebuild the SR again or just swap it? And then come my birthday, like mid-September, I got like the biggest freaking surprise of my life. And Dan basically called me to the shop, and he's like, hey, we gotta go check out this car that I found, and I want to build it or something like that. And like he said it was a good deal, but I didn't know what it was, you know. So he's like, I need your help to like load it on the trailer, and like we gotta bring it back to the shop. And I was like, okay, cool, I'll help you. We got to the house, and it was a freaking Supra under a cover, and it was this one.
We got lucky.
It did not look like this though.
No, so we got a really good deal on a wrecked Supra that had like just like a shell, but we had enough parts around here to make it come to life. And then Jeff searched for the remaining pieces he needed, and then well, it's a stock twin turbo, just non-VVTi motor, and then he had a R154 that ended up breaking. And then now tell us a little bit more about like where it is right now and what the plans are for it for this next coming season. Yeah, okay, so the inside is just pretty much just a FD legal cage, you know, just a full 6-point cage with like anti-intrusion bars, door bars. I do have like a little switch panel right here. It's the ARC 8000. It just controls like basically my ECU, fuel pump, fans, and headlights. It's just a very basic setup. Okay, so that's the kill. This turns on ECU, fuel, and then this starts right up. So just the necessities to go drifting. Yeah, it's very simple setup. Easy. And then for the transmission wise, I had an R154 last season, and at round 3 it blew up on me because I was just way too hard on it. So I figured, like, I don't want to replace it with another R154 and have that happen again. So I acquired a CD09 transmission out of a 350Z. It's a 6-speed manual trans. Should hold up for what we're doing, you know, like, we'll see how it goes. It should work with power wise. Yeah. Stock ECU for now, but I do have a max ECU waiting for me to get installed by myself. Next season,
the plan is to get rid of my twin turbo setup because I have like the stock true twin setup. I'm actually getting I'm buying a single turbo setup off of the red Supra at the shop, which is Frederick's old Supra, which Ola drives now. I'm buying that single turbo setup, and I'm doing E85, so we should make some pretty good power next season just to be a little more competitive and make the car a little easier to drive too, I think, with the more power. Other than that, it's just this very, very basic drift car.
Yep, but it's not so basic, but he thinks it's basic, but because he works at like a race shop, it's pretty cool drift car.
It's basic compared to Dan's car.
Yeah, but yeah. It's a really cool drift car. So let's show you under the hood. Got a 2J.
Yeah.
Does have the stock twins on it, but nice clean setup. Front mount intercooler.
Thank you, Trent.
It's got the same wide body kit that mine has on it. He's refreshing the skirts right now, because if you guys didn't know, drifting beats up body parts.
Yes.
Every single time you go, pretty much, unless you're not having fun, that is. Back here still has stock tank, but works fine. And then he did the tube work back here to make it a little lighter, and in preparation for, he's gonna put a cell back there one day, but just didn't have funding yet. And then he's got the firewall to make it legal. But that's basically Jeff's Supra. It's really cool. And then he's got this wing that looks good.
Yes, it is.
Everything fits good.
I think the goal was to make it twinning against, or twinning with Dan's Supra. So that's why
Twinning
it's
with
on
the
it.
other blue Supra. So I just had one more question. Where do you get that shirt?
Oh, this shirt?
Yeah, I like that shirt. How can I
This
get
is
one
my
of those?
favorite shirt. So there's this website called radpartsstore.com.
Oh.
They have a bunch of these in stock.
They do?
Yeah. They have
Okay,
gray
so I
ones,
can get one?
many different designs. Maybe
Cool.
if you're lucky.
I'm gonna look into that. So this is Jeff Lee. He works at Rad. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
See you guys next time.
All right, so we talked to Jeff about his journey in drifting so far, and we talked about his Supra and then the upgrades that he's planning to make in the off season before 2018 Top Drift season happens. And then since he's one of us here at Rad Industries, he will be using this camera. And tell us a little bit about what will be happening.
So I'll be taking over this camera for my Top Drift rounds, just covering basically prep and track day and practice day and whatever. But yeah, I'm gonna start vlogging our Top Drift series next season, so we'll see how it goes, huh?
So you're gonna do all 4 of them?
All 4 seasons, baby, or all 4 rounds, baby. I got this.
Okay, so look forward to watching Top Drift round 1 through 4 with Jeff and the Supra this year. All right.
It's gonna be fun.
Good job, Jeff.
You too.
Missing someone, and missing someone.